lot of people don't think that they're an entrepreneur, but a lot of things that you do, just even in normal jobs, are highly entrepreneurial.
I'm here with Erin Dawicki at MIT Sloan to talk about her startup. Erin, it's great to see you.
Nice to meet you.
And tell us, first, what is your startup? What's its name?
So my startup is called LymeAlert, and we are a home tick testing kit for Lyme disease.
And so what problem are you solving with LymeAlert?
So every day I get calls from my patients who say, I found a tick on me or my child, and they don't know what to do with it, and they can't afford to come in for a doctor's appointment because they haven't met their deductible, or they can't get time off of work, so all these access issues. So we came up with the idea of why don't you just test the tick at home? And if it carries disease, we can call in your antibiotics. If it doesn't carry disease, then we're not prescribing unnecessary antibiotics that contribute to resistance. So it all came from wanting to expand healthcare access.
And so you said you're patients, so that means you're some kind of medical provider.
Yeah, so I'm a physician assistant, and I've been working here in the Boston ecosystem for the past 16 years.
What inspired you to go to business school?
So after COVID, issues with access got even worse. So deductibles kept going up, and insurance companies were denying necessary healthcare for patients. And I was getting really frustrated by having to spend so much time fighting for needed care for my patients and fighting the appeals process after hours. So I decided that I could either be upset at the situation or it could be part of the solution. So I looked for a program that would allow me to cross-register and take classes in healthcare policy at Harvard Kennedy School, and then the business and technology sides here at MIT, and give me the education I would need to help create a better healthcare system.
That's awesome. I think COVID certainly rocked the healthcare world, even more so maybe than the rest of the industries. But what was it about LymeAlert's issue that drew you to it?
So LymeAlert, I was in a program called DIVE, which was a healthcare entrepreneurship program. And to be honest, I thought I'd be going to work for a government agency or working for a healthcare think tank after my MIT time and helping with things at the policy level. And I really didn't think that entrepreneurship was a way of solving systems-wide issues. So I got dragged kicking and screaming into a healthcare entrepreneurship class in my first summer called Sandbox Dive. And there were 3 different tracks. So I was placed into the Lyme disease track. And as part of that, we were challenged to think about ways that we could improve the current standards in Lyme disease. Because the blood tests that we have now miss up to 60% of the early stage cases. And the access issues prevent a lot of people from getting diagnosed until it's too late to easily treat them.
So I don't want to gloss over the system change that you just mentioned. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I believe as an American that everybody should have access to equitable, affordable healthcare, personally. And that we live in a system where people get different levels of care depending on where they live or what their access is, what their insurance coverage is, what they can afford. And we have people right here in our state who don't have access to specialists for a 45-minute drive, depending on what specialists they need. So if you're in a single-parent household with 1 car and the person with the car is at work, you can't get to those appointments during work hours. So access, even in a state like ours, which supposedly has great healthcare access, is not equal. And it's very dependent on the geography and what your insurance coverage and what your socioeconomic status is. So I believe in building a system where people have better and more equitable access to care.
There's so many different social determinants of health that we could have a really long discussion on. But focusing on your own entrepreneurial journey, which is kind of relatively new.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about a time that you learned from someone whose perspective was very different than yours and how it's shaped your career?
Yeah, so one of the most amazing things as part of this Sloan Fellows MBA program is that we are 115 of us from 41 different countries. And right from the first week of the program, they put us in diverse study groups that were gender diverse, racially diverse, socioeconomically diverse, in order to try and stimulate differences of opinion and allow us to get the different perspectives from people from around the world. And for me, as somebody who was born and raised here in Massachusetts, who didn't have a lot of access to that level of diversity, it was honestly mind-blowing. You know, we really had to come into it in a mind-open way and be open to learning from these different experiences, incorporating them. And sometimes that was challenging because you come in with really hard-held, lifelong beliefs that sometimes you find out don't translate to other parts of the world or just even different socioeconomic classes. So my growth as a person was phenomenal over the past year, and it was probably the best decision I had to leave my career in healthcare for the year and reinvent myself.
Can you describe a little bit of what you expected going into this group of very diverse people, and then maybe looking back on it now, if your assumptions were correct?
To be honest, I didn't have a super high opinion of business school. I didn't think that the people would be as socially driven as they were, and I was shocked at how many people were just like me and had pivoted from really successful careers and gave it all up because they wanted the chance to make the world a better place in some way, shape, or form. So that was probably the most surprising thing, is that I came in with kind of a preconceived, kind of snobby notion about what business school students were like, and that was completely blown out of the water.
That's a really cool takeaway. Okay, thinking back to LymeAlert, what do the next 6 months look like? What would success be if you're looking back?
We've actually had really positive lab results, and our test works, which is really, really exciting.
That's good.
So we have a working prototype, and we also have a working tick crusher, which we've found is the secret to this technology working well, and we think why other people haven't been able to successfully do this before. And we have the patents on those things, which is great. So the next stage for us is fundraising so that we can get this to manufacturing and get this out into the world.
To wrap up our conversation, what's a piece of advice, maybe that you've received or just that you've learned through experience, that you would give to other entrepreneurs who might be watching this?
A lot of people don't think that they're an entrepreneur, but a lot of things that you do, just even in normal jobs, are highly entrepreneurial. So coming up with creative solutions with limited resources, that's entrepreneurial. So people who might not think they're an entrepreneur maybe are, and having an idea and not being afraid to run with it is something that I wish more people would try and more people would have the courage. So I would say the one biggest part of my growth this year is getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable and saying yes to new situations that maybe previously I would have said, there's no way I'm going to try that. Now I'm trying lots of things. Now I'm getting more comfortable saying yes to things that I never would have tried previously.
Awesome. Well, Erin, thank you so much for your time. It was great to talk.
Thanks.